Aloha, my name is Antionette Fernandez, and I'm running for Senate in the 24th District, which is Kāneʻohe, Kailua, and Aikahi. You know, I've lived in that area all my adult life on the windward side, and I have a great love for the state of Hawaii and the people, the community, and I'm very passionate about freedom. And as your senator, I want to walk alongside you, safeguard what we have, the freedoms that we have, our constitutional God-given rights that we have. I want to raise our voices for what we should have, and the things that we've lost, we want to continue to keep our freedoms. Another thing I'm very passionate about is the economy. You know, during the pandemic, it's been really hard for businesses to stay in, and we've lost a lot of older businesses of restaurants and family-owned businesses that have gone under. And we all know that there's a nationwide economic challenge. But Hawaii is unique in the economic challenges that we have because we're an island in the middle of the Pacific. We can't just leave and drive to another state. We're here in these islands, and we have to develop a strong economical procedure to raise our standard of living. It's really important. You know, I am very passionate about Hawaii. I love Hawaii. You know, the people. If we just work together, we can make things change. People have lost hope. But you know, one thing that we do have, we have the love for each other, the love of family. And as a legislative body should also recognize themselves as a family, that they should work together, not just Democrat and Republic, but work together to meet the needs of each other, you know, to hold each other up and to bring back that hope. You know, Hawaii has not lost the spirit of aloha. We have several cultures here, and you know, it's a very accepting state. We love each other, we take care of each other, and you know, there's been some hardships that have happened. But you know, if we just work together, we can make a lot of changes and keep our freedoms. Another thing that I wanted to let you know is I come from a family that worked hard our whole lives. We were farmers, and you know, so I know what it's like to work hard, and I want to support farmers and make our state self-reliable, self-sustainable, you know, bringing back the farms that can help us. We don't want to be totally dependent on the mainland to bring our food and to bring the things that we need. We can be self-sustainable here and take care of each other. And you know, another thing that I just wanted to let you know about is that, you know, I have fished for 20 years in the Bering Sea. And you know, it's very important for us to keep our water and our resources clean, and that we can, you know, leave a legacy for our children, and keeping Hawaii safe and just beautiful. It's a beautiful state, and we want to, you know, just take care of things and, you know, go back to the basics, go back to the way things were, and just to, you know, talk story, to build each other up, to come in, you know, to agreement and just link arms and come together and make changes that will, you know, help us to keep our Hawaii beautiful, to keep it a beautiful state. And, you know, there's places that, you know, we can learn, things that we can learn from, mistakes that have been made that we can learn from. But together, we need each other. We need the love that Hawaii has, and we can make the difference for our families. We can make the difference for our state if we work together. You know, as your senator, I just want to come alongside you. And, you know, there's things I can learn, but, you know, I want us to work together. I want the people of Hawaii I want to have an open door policy that people in Hawaii can just come and tell me what they need, tell me the problems, or we come to conclusions on things. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Jarrett, Keohokalole, and I'm running to represent Kailua and Kāneʻohe in the Hawaii State Senate's 24th District. I have served for the last 8 years in the Hawaii State Legislature, and because district lines are changing this year, I've been out in our community introducing myself and asking what issues you think I should be paying attention to. There's so much to do. I've heard you say that we desperately need more affordable housing. I've heard you say that we need to do more about homelessness. And I've heard you say that crime and tourism and overcrowding are impacting our community and the way of life we've known and love. Being born and raised in this community, starting out in Kailua as a child, and then moving to Kāneʻohe, where my family is from, I understand how these issues are affecting everyone, including my own family. My wife, Ku'ulani, was also raised here in Kāneʻohe, and after going away for school, we moved back to raise our 3 kids here at home in the community we grew up in. It's been difficult to do that. Hawaii is changing rapidly, and our government has to change with it. So many of our systems today just aren't designed to handle the problems we are dealing with. Our workforce shortage complicates the problem, making it hard to bring people on to help address the issues that the community has been asking for help with for years. But change can happen. It takes attention and effort, and it requires bringing people together. Doing that, I've seen things get fixed at the state level, and I'm proud to have been part of several of them. For example, to address transparency in government, while in the Senate, I worked with staff and colleagues to move public hearings and testimony online on Zoom. So now, you have the choice not to come downtown to the Capitol, fight traffic, and pay for parking, but instead testify online from anywhere in the state, and go on YouTube to look back at what happened at every public hearing and every vote taken at the legislature. In our community here on the windward side, I partnered with private sector businesses, healthcare providers, and fellow legislators to pilot street medicine and a medical clinic that served hundreds of homeless people along the Ko'olau coast and got dozens of them into treatment and housing. During the pandemic, I worked with the Department of Health and Windward Community College to create the Windward Vaccination Pod in January of 2021, which vaccinated over 50,000 healthcare workers, first responders, immunocompromised patients, and kupuna on the windward side. And in December of last year, I worked with our congressional delegation, the Department of Health, the Sierra Club, and the many community advocates fighting for our drinking water to call for the closure of the Red Hill Bulk Fuel Storage Facility, including sending a letter to the Secretary of the Navy signed by 24 senators, calling on the Navy to stop playing games, withdraw their legal challenges, and close Red Hill. And we prevailed. Then, in this year's legislative session, I authored and worked with area legislators to pass a state law requiring the Navy to defuel and close that facility permanently. On every issue I work on, I try to be collaborative but firm in the need for action, because we have too much at stake. Hawaii is a special place, and our communities deserve care and attention to the problems that make life difficult. There's so much more to do. As your senator, I will work hard every day to get things done, and I humbly ask for your vote. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Lisa Marten, and I'm running to continue to represent District 51, Waimānalo and Kailua in the State House. Kailua is where I grew up, attending public schools. It's where I raised my college-age children and where my parents are aging and thriving. The windward side is truly one of the most beautiful places on earth, and as such, many of us who live there are committed to malama or care for our natural resources so that we can leave them in better shape for our grandchildren. Our communities are strong, and our neighbors enjoy playing and working and caring for each other. Yet, we do have problems here in Paradise, and I started working to address those as a community member, a board member, and then this last year and a half, I've done so as your representative. Some of the problems started with the internet. when our small towns became tourist destinations and Instagram selfie locations. I advocated for more than a decade to limit tourism in our neighborhoods and at our beach parks. Now I'm working with the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Hawaii Tourism Authority, and community groups to manage tourism in a way that doesn't degrade our natural resources and our communities. We also have problems that are felt statewide, like the high cost of living, especially housing. And I'm happy to say that this session, I was able to be part of a movement to put around $350 million in new resources for affordable rent support, including for working families and for housing infrastructure. Especially exciting for our district, which has one of the highest DHHL waitlist populations, is a $630 million to develop homestead housing and to help with down payments and mortgages. There's opportunities to do much more right in our district, and I've started conversations and review of Deal in Our Land and DOE land for affordable housing. These are long-term projects, and I look forward to having the opportunity to see them through. We have homelessness in and around our towns, often associated with substance abuse and mental health problems. I'm working with Adventist Castle to ensure when people are brought in for psych evaluations by the police, they have somewhere to go upon discharge so that the population doesn't just keep growing. For those that are from here or are already established here, they generally do not want to go somewhere else for an emergency or transitional shelter. So we need local solutions. Weinberg Village has reopened in Waimānalo, and Hui Mahi'ai'aina has taken many people off the streets and given them community and brought them back to health. I would like to expand our local options, and I'm working on it. I'm also worried about climate change and protecting native species. I started to work on these problems 7 years ago when I founded a nonprofit that creates science curriculum on climate change that we train teachers to use, or we do workshops ourselves. We've also brought thousands of students and community members to help plant and care for a native forest on the watershed of Hamakua Marsh in Kailua. You can check it out any Monday afternoon from 4 to 6 when we have our drop-in community service days. It's on Hamakua Drive between Kailua Town and Enchanted Lake. I've continued these passions as a legislator. I served as Vice Chair of Energy and Environmental Protection and was able to support good environmental bills to help us transition to renewable energy, to deal with our cesspool problem, and to reduce contaminants from trash. Some that I introduced and passed included declaring a climate emergency, making it easier to compost on agricultural land, and asking for upgraded sewage treatment facilities at the Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. I have a doctorate in public health, and I worked on the HIV pandemic. It felt natural to do all I could to help our community stay safe during COVID. I organized vaccine and testing pop-up clinics, and I made COVID videos with local healthcare providers that we know and trust. Many of the bills and initiatives I worked on were responses to issues in our district that were new to me. For example, getting a portion of Bellows cleaned of munitions before it's given back to the state, or getting $8 million invested in improving our child welfare services as a response to the tragic murder of Ariel. Everything I do is a team effort with community members, other legislators, government, and nonprofit agencies. It's how I like to work, and it's working for us so far. Our district is incredibly diverse, and I love the constant learning and challenge that brings to my job. I learn new things every day, and my to-do list goes on and on. I ask for your vote so I can continue to work for you and follow through on the many initiatives I have underway. Mahalo.
How's it, Hawaii? My name's Kaleo Nakoa. I'm running for City Council, District 4. That's from Makapu all the way to Ala Moana. Little background about me. I did 20 years in the Coast Guard, retired in August 2020. I did 4 years in the fire service in Oregon. I'm a father of 4. I'm a husband, and I'm also passionate about the people. One thing I noticed on this journey is that Hawaii needs people who are transparent, who have integrity, and who are willing to be held accountable For me, transparency means there's no smoke and mirrors. If you want answers, we'll give you the answers. It might not be the answer you want to hear, but it'll be the truth. We need people with integrity, people to stand for the people. When we're wrong, we're wrong. But we always own up to our mistakes. Accountability. I expect you guys to hold me accountable. I expect you guys to call me out when there's issues. But at the same time, we're going to hold everybody else accountable. We can't do all this by ourselves. We got we, and we need each other to make Hawaii great again. We have a hui who's standing up, who came into this fight together. And we got people in the state seats, we got people in the House seats, we got people in Congress seats that we're all running together. We're all supporting each other. So just because it's a state issue doesn't mean I can't help you with that. Because it's a Congress issue doesn't mean I can't help you with that. And that's the difference between myself and the other candidate, is that we already have people who are supporting each other right now that can help you, that can help support Hawaii to get Hawaii great again. We need each other though. We can't do this alone. We can't do this without you. Hawaii, we need you to help us make Hawaii better. I just want to say mahalo to Ōlelo TV, mahalo to my family and my friends and all you supporters who stand with us, who reach out to us, who give us the mana to keep pushing forward, to keep fighting this fight. Because the fight is never over and we can't do this fighting alone. We need to make Hawaii great. We need to make Hawaii Hawaii again. And we need Hawaii for the people. Mahalo nui for all your support.
Aloha everybody, my name is Mark June Hashem. I want to start off by thanking my constituents for electing me as their state representative for over the last 10 years. I was first elected as state representative in 2011. And during that period, I've managed to get some key funding for infrastructure projects for East Honolulu. For example, Kaiser High School, the girls' locker room, and the track and field. And for Kalani High School, I managed to get funding for the girls' locker room, the judo room, and this year in November, we're breaking ground on a new track and field for Kalani High School. Aina Haina Elementary, I was fortunate to get funding this year for a new parking lot on the Mauka side of the school. Currently, the teachers park on a gravel field. We're going to pave that over, landscape it, fence it in for safety. Also, my constituents remember the paving of Kalanianaole Highway. That was just completed roughly 4 years ago. Going forward, this year I was fortunate enough to get funding for the dredging and improving Maunalua Bay. Currently, the bay hasn't been dredged for over 10 years, for decades. And the boaters that launch out of Hawaii Kai, their boats bottom out, they damage their gear, and it's an extreme boater safety issue. So once again, I want to thank my constituents for electing me as their state representative for over the last 10 years. And I once again ask you for your support in 2022. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Bert Kobayashi, candidate for State House District 20, which includes Diamond Head, Kahala, Kaimukī, and Kapuhulu. I was born in Honolulu, grew up in Kaimukī on a property which my grandfather bought over 100 years ago and where I live today. I went to public schools nearby, then the University of Hawaii, then Michigan State University for a PhD in political science. My first real job was assistant professor of government at American University in Washington, D.C. Then I returned to Hawaii and was a researcher and analyst in 3 different government jobs, most notably as Executive Secretary of the Governor's Commission on Population and the Hawaiian Future, which promoted quality growth, growth management. Very much the same issues as today, with need for growth management over tourism promotion and less over tourism. Then I won election to the State House of Representatives, where I served for 4 years, followed by 12 years in the State Senate. After 16 years in the legislature, I voluntarily retired from politics because the salary was too small to pay for my son's college education. I worked for 18 years outside of politics in various government and private sector jobs, the most important being Deputy Director of Health for community hospitals, which I reorganized into the most independent state agency to that date. In 2012, I returned to the State House and focused on money and health issues as before. In the legislature, committee assignments heavily determine focus, and I've served on the Money and Health Committees for most of my legislative career. In the money area, I'd like to emphasize and see continuation of savings to balance out the expenditure side of the budget. This year, we will see record high savings in rainy day funds of about $1 billion, and also an expected record high savings of $1.77 billion in carryover savings for fiscal year 2022. In the health area, I'd like to see reorganization of how we deal with mental health issues, particularly with the homeless. My achievements in the health area include Nursing Home Without Walls, which involves providing nursing care at home, not in an institutional setting. And also the Living Will Bill, which allows people to voluntarily refuse artificial means of extending life, such as no ventilators. For the homeless with mental health and substance abuse problems, I'd like to see more court-appointed guardians ad litem who will be responsible for and protect the well-being of homeless while assuring that they get mental health treatment. I see that my time is running short, so I'd like to thank Ōlelo for this opportunity to tell my story. Aloha and mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Jillian Anderson and I am running to represent District 24 in the Hawaii State House of Representatives, which includes beautiful Waikīkī and a portion of Mo'ili'ili. I am running because this state is my home and the path we are headed down is my future. Today in my community, I see reducing public safety, rising homelessness, dilapidated infrastructure, and a worsening inability to cover daily costs. Looking forward, dreams of home ownership continue to slip from the grasps of many hardworking individuals. Our people are increasingly losing faith in our government and core institutions, while promises for improvement have largely ended up reducing our quality of life. We need leaders who are focused on the things that need fixing now and have the proper sense and judgment to accomplish them. We need leaders who have financial restraint and who understand they work on behalf of a diligent, tax-paying public, not the other way around. This November is your chance to hire those who share your priorities and fire those who have proven they don't. My road to seeking this responsibility was not typical. After moving to Waikīkī with my family at just 3 years old, I attended Sacred Hearts Academy all the way from K through 12. I was then honored to attend and graduate summa cum laude from our University of Hawaiʻi at Mānoa, where I spent much of my 4 years studying at the Schuyler College of Business. There, I honed in on 3 focuses: entrepreneurship, marketing, and finance. I too have a great appreciation and interest in learning about our past, prompting a minor in history as well. Amid the events of early 2020 and beyond, I, like many of you, became much more aware of our government, the role it plays in our society, and the ability it has to remedy crises, from a global pandemic to our neighborhood complaints. From this, I decided to learn more about how our government functions from the inside, working as a legislative analyst in the most recent session of our state legislature. In this role, I witnessed the immense capabilities our government has to affect change, yet in my community, issues only continue to compound. I am running on 5 main priorities: crime and public safety, homelessness, cost of living, sustainable tourism, and infrastructure. It is no wonder crime is on the rise. Our police force is understaffed. Our correctional facility is in severe disrepair and overcapacity. Meanwhile, vicious random attacks are becoming commonplace, especially in Waikīkī. Our law-abiding residents are compelled to turn a blind eye to raging mental illness and addiction. Our leaders must support our law enforcement and make it clear that committing crimes comes with consequences. Unbearable costs and untreated behavioral health issues are sending our kama'aina out onto the streets, while other states are sending their troubled citizens with one-way tickets. We must no longer accept Band-Aid fixes, but instead acknowledge our worsening homelessness crisis for what it is and invest in permanent solutions. The pandemic gave new light to how much tourism has permeated our communities. With the advent of social media, few places are left sacred for locals, causing a tipping point for our residents as it comes to living amongst a global tourism destination, as well as for our fragile environment and ecosystems. The legislature, in tandem with the tourism industry, must craft policies that manage tourism's negative impacts while maximizing the benefits it brings to our job market and economy. Though often overlooked, infrastructure is one of our state government's most important responsibilities. The gears that make our society run can be the difference between prosperity and catastrophe. Yet, these vital components are lacking attention and funding, which in many cases are decades overdue. As of 2019, our state scored a D+ in terms of infrastructure condition. We all know the phrase, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. There is no reason for our state to bring truth to these words. I ask my friends why they are not moving back home following their attaining a degree on the mainland. Their families are here, their best memories are here, their hearts are here. But their dream job with a salary that can offer the chance of homeownership isn't. Their favorite mom and pop restaurant is gone, flattened to become a big box store or monster home. We all see it. Our islands are rapidly changing, and most of you will agree that it is not for the better. This cannot become our status quo, nor even be a situation we are forced to live with for the time being. As I said, I am running because I want to stay in my home state, though not be expected to sacrifice my financial freedom, safety, or quality of life to do so. I know our people deserve better and can get it too, but we need the right people in the room. We need not just visionaries, but realists. We need not just thinkers, but doers. We cannot just set long-term goals, but need to address our most pressing issues with the utmost urgency. I hope my honesty has resonated with you. Please, learn more about me at JillianForHawaii.com. And when you receive your ballot, consider voting for Jillian Anderson for the State House of Representatives for District 24. I would be beyond humbled to have your trust, and will go forth with upright character, common sense, and an ironclad will to fight for the Hawaii we all know is possible. Mahalo.
Aloha. I want to begin by thanking my constituents for the honor of representing them as their state representative for the past 2 years. I'm a local boy born and raised in Hawaii, the proud summer immigrants who came to Hawaii hoping for the American dream to work for them. We didn't have much growing up, but my parents taught me the value of an honest day's hard work. Eventually, I graduated from Hoanji Mission School, then Kalani High School, and Penn State University. After graduating from college, I came back home to be closer with my family and to work in the family business. I eventually got involved with the legislature with a session job and worked my way up to becoming a manager, falling in love with public service. In 2020, I ran for office on a campaign of putting people over politics, and we won. I am grateful and honored to have the privilege of amplifying your voice at the legislature. Together, we were able to pass bills on homelessness, housing, crime, and environmental protection. At the same time, secure over $68 million in capital improvement projects that will go directly to benefiting the people of Waikīkī, Ala Moana, and Moʻiliʻili. We also got some much-needed funding for our community centers and nonprofit organizations making a difference in our neighborhoods. There are many people that are inspiring me to run for re-election, and one of them is Miss Jeannie Rice, a neighborhood advocate who saw a problem and rallied and organized the community to fix it. I know that the success of this office does not come from one individual, but all of us coming together to better our community and our state. I want to continue that work, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Aloha, I'm Julia Allen, candidate for State House District 21. That's St. Louis Heights, Palolo Valley, Wilhelmina Rise, and Maunalani Heights. I'm campaigning for this office because I'm dedicated to working for my community. Although I was born in Honolulu, my family moved to California when I was almost 6 years old. I returned as a young adult and still live in the same home my parents bought just in time for my birth. After returning to Hawaii, I started working in retail businesses and became a retail buyer for many years. I've owned my own business and worked in a family-owned enterprise. For 12 years, I worked at the state capitol, the first year for a state representative, and then for 11 years, I worked for a state senator. In all these jobs, I've greeted everyone who walked in the door, listened to them, answered their questions, offered instructions, and helped find solutions to many problems. I'm involved in my community as a member of Palolo Lions Club and as a member of Neighborhood Board Number 5. I regularly attend the First Presbyterian Church of Honolulu and participate in many church activities. Many of the activities remain online. I have prepared myself to do the best possible job of representing our community and advancing our interests. I understand everyday needs of our residents, the functioning of our businesses, and of our state legislature. I'm also mindful of my responsibilities to our state. We need to leave people free to make the best use of their own resources for the betterment of themselves, their families, and communities. People are inherently creative and entrepreneurial. Their efforts build and sustain our economy and healthy lifestyle. I've learned that many people have never been to our state capitol or spoken with an elected official. Often they are surprised to learn what goes into the process of bills becoming law. Legislation gets introduced with very good intentions and often very good ideas. You may want a particular law passed, but along the way, things happen to those good ideas, and the result is often very different from where it began. I will work to involve more people during legislative sessions. The knowledge and perspective of our citizens are necessary for legislators to make well-informed decisions, whether by testifying on bills at committee hearings or meeting and speaking with other officials. I believe in our constitutional republic and that our form of government, despite its imperfections, ultimately will deliver the best for our citizens. The blessings of living in a free society are great and should be preserved. It is essential that those who govern allow enterprise to flourish and to produce a wealth of jobs. Our cherished freedoms are the strength of our society and should not be infringed upon by governing forces. Excessive debt and spending beyond our means threatens future generations and diminishes individual choices. These issues need to be addressed in the coming legislative sessions. We all share the good fortune of living in Hawaii, and by exercising our civic duty can ensure our future generations an even better life. You can reach me at 808-255-8915. My website is www.julia-21.com. I would be grateful to serve as a state representative for District 21. Mahalo.
Aloha. My name is Della Belatti, and I am a candidate for State House of Representatives, District 26, representing Makiki, Tantalus, and Punchbowl. District 26 includes the urban areas of Makiki and Punchbowl, the Tantalus Mountainside, and the historic Hawaiian homestead communities of Papakolea, Kalawahini, and Kewalo. I am so fortunate to be able to call this area my home for most of my life. Born and raised in Manoa Valley, Hawaii is my home. Both my daughters attend District 26's public schools, while my husband works as a nurse with nearly 2 decades of experience at Queens Medical Center. I have worked as a high school social studies teacher at Marino School, a former law clerk to Hawaii Supreme Court Justice Simeon Koba and Circuit Court Judge Dexter Del Rosario, and currently work as a civil rights attorney. Like so many families here in Hawaii, we struggle with Hawaii's high cost of living. My commitment and top priorities, if I am elected as your state representative, are to tackle the challenges facing working families, from affordable housing to having an education and economic system that creates pathways to living wage jobs so our keiki can stay here in the islands to raise their own families. In 2022, this year, the state legislature made historic investments in affordable housing and critical social service programs, as well as investments in infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, roads, and even broadband development to connect our communities. Even as we face uncertainty in the future, we need to continue to make investments in these types of programs that broadly help all working families and actually deliver on the promise of more affordable housing, better school facilities, and programs that help improve the health and welfare of our residents, especially the most vulnerable people in our community. I want to thank Ōlelo for this opportunity to share some of my thoughts and priorities with you. Please feel free to reach out to me with your own priorities, comments, and concerns at 808-393-0594 and learn more about me and my campaign at www.dellabelatti.com. I look forward to seeing you out there in the community and on the campaign trail. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Charlotte Rosecrans, and I am here to share my heart with you for one of the reasons why I'm running for House District 26, and to share with you what I believe is imperative to talk about today, and here it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. How many people end up doing things so much we end up being complacent? As one saying something what today, for me, my word is my bond, which that is kind of hard to find today. When I had to say this constantly in school daily, not really comprehending the reality of what I was saying until I recently dug into the meaning of this pledge. Learning the definition of words and what the significance of those words put together along with the action behind those words, which were a golden ticket to me about integrity and honesty in my book. So why pledge allegiance to a flag? Makes me think, what is the significance of a flag? It is a symbol used to reinforce morale and most importantly to distinguish their regiment from others during battles. Flags also helped soldiers recognize allies and enemies on the field. Okay, moving on. Of the United States of America, are we united? Are we combined into a single entity? What is a state? If we use the definition of state just alone, what is that definition? State is a condition. So come on with me with this. A condition of my surrounding people and land combined in a single entity? Where does that take us? Currently, in this, the condition we like being in? How do we make a difference or a change? That is the difficult question. Statistics say that most people don't like change, but the best thing that was given is the opportunity of habit. We have a chance to change if we choose. Now, what is a definition of a republic? In the Black Law Dictionary, it specifically states a commonwealth, that form of government in which the administration of affairs is open to all citizens. In other sense, it signifies the state, independently of its form of government. Also, basically, the power resides in the people, which people are government elected/appointed people. That's who. Back to the pledge. One nation under God. This could become a controversial subject. Let's start with one nation. What was the intent of this? Unity comes to mind when I see one nation. Are we one nation with separate races, beliefs, etc.? How can we become one nation? Now, the most divisive topic of all is under God. They say the two most avoidable topics are politics and religion. So here I am running for office and talking about God. The one thing that comes up about this is that each and every human being has been born with a moral compass within themselves, and everyone knows right from wrong, and which that moral compass gives us our free will and choices that we will make daily that leads us either consciously or unconsciously to where we want to go. So in my life thus far, I have to say that without God, life is really way more difficult than with God. I will leave it at that. So indivisible. We are so off of this, and the enemy of the state or states are definitely winning on this topic. How do we unify? I will leave you that to ponder. With everyone having different DNA and fingerprints, there are so many different ways to see this challenge. So this is my final repetition of the breakdown of my prayer or pledge. I hold my word, I pledge that the loyalty resides, allegiance, with the symbol of way to remind me in the flag, combined in a single entity, which is united, under a condition, which is a state, in the land of America, where the public things or laws are from the mass of the people to the republic, for which we stand united together, one nation under God, undivided individually, with the power of the will in its moral freedom to follow the dictates of its unrestricted choice and to direct the external acts of the individual without restraint, coercion, or control from other persons, which is freedom, and to constant and perpetual disposition render every man his due justice.